when I decided to major in cinema and photography and creative writing,
Hmm.
um, my parents said, my father said, I don't know what you will do with that for a career. He was a corporate guy. He's like, but he's like, I know you will be successful, so we will support you in this. And that gift gave me a determination that somehow I would figure out how to make a living with this skill, this craft, this experience I was getting from school.
Well, welcome, Stephen Pruitt.
Hi, Jessica. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And Stephen, can you share a bit about your background and how you first got interested in the creative video production industry?
When I went to college, I did not know what I wanted to do with my career.
Okay.
I went to play soccer and quickly decided that I didn't want to spend 4 years training and playing. That I needed to find something, some sort of professional development avenue for myself at school. Um, I was at Ithaca College, and they have a fantastic communications program. So, through a lot of hard work and persistence, I was able to get into the Park School of Communication and ended up majoring in cinema and photography,
Okay.
um, which was a very intense program. Wonderful professors, all from film and television industry, and I learned a craft, both sort of hands-on, working in dark rooms and with cameras and editing machines and all that, but also learned a lot of the theory behind filmmaking and photography. And so graduated with that degree, cinema and photography, and a minor in creative writing, and went out in the world to see what I could do with it, and which wasn't easy. Many of my peers were going to Los Angeles or New York City,
Hmm.
which were the hubs of the industry, still are, of course. Um, I wanted to take my chances in a smaller market, hoping that I could get ahead a little quicker. I was a bit worried that if I went to New York City, I would have been the perpetual production assistant, sweeping floors for a career. So I moved to Atlanta, which had a really healthy commercial television commercial business at the time, some television, some film, and I just started knocking on the doors of studios, trying to get that first job. I think like many people in my business, I ended up uh, working in a trade, working on a construction crew to make ends meet that first year, but eventually started working in the commercial film business, like everyone, sweeping studio floors and getting coffee for the director, um, and then just started working my way up from there. I was very fortunate. There was a director in Atlanta named Bill Vanderkloot who was a commercial director, but also had a passion for some documentaries. And I think I talked his ear off on enough shoots, saying, "Hey, let me help. Hey, let me help. I can help you with research, with writing, etc." That he finally started hiring me to help with research on some of his documentary films, and so that really how I started.
Okay. Well, interesting. So you went to Ithaca
Yep.
and you were gonna play soccer there. So you got
Yep.
on the team. Did you get recruited or what happened there?
My high school soccer coach was an alumni of Ithaca, and
Okay.
he knew I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, and so he helped me. He helped me get in there, which was great, looking out for me that way. But it was the soccer team was a party scene and a lot of non-academic stuff, and I was ready to learn something. So
That's great. So it sounds like from early on, you were really listening to yourself, your intuition.
yes.
And even though you got on the soccer team there, which playing athletics in college is some people's dream, But you clearly looked at what was going on there and you said, I hear you saying that this isn't really for me. This isn't what I want to do with my life. What do I want to do with my life? So, did you
Absolutely.
have an interest in film and cinema before college, if you look back at
Um,
your life?
not necessarily.
Hmm.
It wasn't something I went in with a passion for. My father, interestingly, worked for Kodak,
Okay.
so we had a big collection of film cameras at the house. But we were always talking about film. So there was sort of that family context, I suppose. Um, I was a theater kid in high school, so I enjoyed that. I was the rare athlete theater kid combination, and I always loved to write. My mother raised me on, all flavors of literature, taking me to theater, taking me to galleries. So I think she really embedded that love of the arts for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in a way that I believe that working in the arts was could be a career path. And so when I ended up at Ithaca and started looking around at what the opportunities were, sort of the best opportunity in terms of creative skill development was the cinema and photography program, in my opinion. So without a real passion for that medium,
Hmm.
I went in to learn what I could learn out of it. And I truly learned a craft, and with the creative writing minor, it made sense to me in terms of being able to, craft with words, and then capture the images that just help elevate and bring ideas to life in a powerful way. So I suppose I fell in love with both the process and the potential of myself in that medium, and that's sort of what I took into my career, I said, which led me to sweeping floors and making coffee for directors.
Right. And so, and then you started getting involved in filmmaking, you mentioned.
Well, so I started working on television commercials, just as a production assistant, and then I started working my way up. I was the production assistant that was smart enough to make phone calls to crew and write a call sheet, and so I got placed more on the office side of things eventually, and got a break when a Discovery Channel show came to Atlanta. It was a home improvement show back in the early days of that uh, genre of television, when
Which
Home and
one?
Garden. it was it was a show called Lynette Jennings Design. She was an architect and interior designer, and the whole show, it was, well, there was some component of home improvement
Hmm.
projects, um, and then there was a whole lot of showcases of fancy homes for their architecture and interior design. And so I started off as a segment producer on that show, responsible for getting the content, writing the scripts, prepping cast and crew for certain segments. Um, I did that for 2 years, and then the Discovery Channel wanted to change the format of the show and elevate it more, so they decided to make it a traveling show that toured all over the country, featuring the best homes, artists, sort of arts and crafts associated with home design.
Hmm.
And they wanted a new director, and they tapped 26-year-old me to be the director of this series. And for 4 years, I led a show as the senior story producer and director, and we did 50-hour-long episodes each year.
Wow.
Um, yes, and that was an absolutely transformative time for me, in terms of better than any master's program could offer in terms of education, a boot camp, a trial by fire, screw everything up 3 times before I figure out how to do it the right way. But it was wonderful. We were shooting film for some segments, we were shooting video for segments. So just that technical aspect of how to do mainstream television worthy storytelling
Mhm.
was, I mean, that I did 200 hours of programming. So I learned how to do that quite well. And then the other part of it was we had a lot of corporate sponsors, and there was a lot of product placement on the show. And so outside of working on the show, we did um, sort of brand and product content with our cast. So sponsored content for brands like Behr Paint or Pella Windows or whatever, all Home Depot brands because they were a sponsor. And through that experience, I learned how to work with brand managers and what it meant to build a brand, a consumer product, brand reputation, and storytelling around that. So that kind of was the next step to moving me towards where I am today.
Yeah, so how did that feel as a 26-year-old getting tapped on the shoulder by Discovery and being asked to be the director of this traveling show?
It was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. Um, I was the youngest person on the crew as well. I remember I went to visit some friends at a lake house and just said, my career is either going to end in a couple months when I start this show, or I'm going to figure it out, and I think it's going to be incredible for me. Um, I was, yes, it was very terrifying, but I believe I had some determination that I would figure it out.
Hmm.
And at that point, I had been freelancing in film and television business, and it was becoming apparent to me um, there was no mentor that was going to pull me along the way I was doing things. I wasn't part of one company that had a natural progression to a career path. I really was out doing it on my own, so I needed an opportunity like this
Hmm.
to start to shape, sort of what was daily work into an actual career and career path. Um, so I took the chance. I took the risk and worked about as hard as I can imagine working to to be successful there. And I was, and the whole show was very successful.
That's
So and
amazing.
yes, and our host Lynette Jennings, she also owned the production company. She was the executive producer, and she believed in me, and that was such a gift. Um, it was amazing, just someone to have a senior person who had everything on the line herself say,
Hmm.
"You can do this. I know it, and you're going to make it different and better than the way we were doing it before." So that was very special for me. Um, and as hard as it was, that whole part of my life, it all turned out great. So
Well, and I love that. I love that you had the realization that you didn't have that traditional mentor situation or opportunity within a company that had a career path, because having worked in creative and marketing recruitment for as long as I have, that's a
yeah,
lot of what younger in their career, mid level, even senior level professionals want. They want some career growth opportunity.
yeah,
And so being able to recognize that and then essentially manifesting an opportunity with this discovery home. So Lynette clearly believed in you, as you
yep.
said. What do you think that you did as a 26-year-old, youngest on the crew, to get noticed? And did you do it intentionally?
I outworked everyone else intentionally. I was determined to make something of myself. I my, I'll take a step back. My parents believed in me as well. When I decided to major in cinema and photography and creative writing,
Hmm.
um, my parents said, my father said, I don't know what you will do with that for a career. He was a corporate guy. He's like, but he's like, I know you will be successful, so we will support you in this. And that gift gave me a determination that somehow I would figure out how to make a living with this skill, this craft, this experience I was getting from school. And so when I was offered the Discovery Channel opportunity, I think I just put that same determination into my efforts. Um, that I would do this, I would figure it out and make it happen. So
So, where did you see role models or examples of determination? Where did you learn that skill?
it's a very good question. These are very probing questions, Jessica. Um, where determination? Gosh, I'm going to take this in a direction that may not fit with all this, but I moved around a lot as a kid.
Hmm.
I went to something like 7 different schools by the time I was in ninth grade. We lived in Spain, we lived in Australia, we lived in England, and I was constantly walking into unfamiliar places with unfamiliar people when I was a child. When, being a child, you know, some may say the best thing you can offer is consistency of surroundings and all that. I didn't grow up that way. I had, you know, just an amazing world of new experiences, new cultures, new exploration, new personalities every turn throughout my young life. And I think some of my determination came from that, having to learn a new school, having to learn new people, having to learn a new sport, having to learn a new playground etiquette, whatever. And just a sort of survival tactic in some ways. Um, so I think that was maybe characteristic that I got the way I was raised.
Hmm.
And my father and mother were both very driven, successful people in their own ways as well. So I certainly would count them as role models.
Wonderful. And I love shattering beliefs that we hold as a society that aren't necessarily true. And so that belief that children should have a consistent, stable experience, that wasn't, maybe that's not always necessarily the
No, it was wonderful for
most
me.
the most, yeah, right. I mean, sometimes changing things up, building the ability to be adaptable and flexible, and
Yeah,
various levels of survival skills through a change of environment can be beneficial. That's what I'm
yeah,
hearing you say.
yes, it is.
That's
I
cool.
agree.
That's great. So now you're at Mountain View Group
Yes,
in Atlanta still. So
yes,
clearly you love it there.
yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me about your experience there and how's that going?
Uh, yeah. So when that Discovery Channel show ended,
Hmm.
I was looking for. I started looking for a new place to land. Um, I said I had learned a lot about branding, consumer products through sponsors we had on the Discovery Channel show. So I was interested in pursuing that a little bit, be it through commercial production or corporate production. And there was a new production company in town, a new agency in town called Mountain View Group that had was based in upstate New York and then opened a new office in Atlanta. I called. I said, "Hey, saw you guys are new in town. I'm a producer director. let me know if you need any help. And the woman I spoke to said, yes, we need help. Can you come in this afternoon?
Wow, good timing.
And it was good timing. And yeah, they were new. They didn't know anyone. I was looking for a job, and it was just sort of serendipitous that I started pretty much freelance, producing with them immediately. And then within a couple months, they hired me on as sort of a senior producer. I had, a ton of experience, and their clientele were all ad agencies and corporate clients. So I and international. That was the other big appeal. Mountain View Group was shooting these big commercials and corporate brand films, product films all over the world. And so their
Mhm.
show reel was incredibly attractive to me. And so I joined, and all of a sudden I'm flying to Europe, shooting in Germany, shooting in Spain, which had been a career goal of mine because I grew up internationally, figuring out how to work internationally was always a goal. And so being able to do that as a producer, shooting cool stuff was another dream come true for me. So that was wonderful, and right place, right time. 5 years into my time at Mountain View Group, the owner, Jim Tusty, who was, I believe, had just turned 60, decided it was time for him to move on
Mhm.
and do something else. He started um, sort of marketing the company to try to sell it, and without too much time passing, that conversation turned into the question to me and another colleague of mine: would you guys be interested in buying Mountain View Group? And this was in 2007. And I immediately said yes, which was kind of nuts. I was a creative guy, producer. No, at least I didn't think I had any business skills. Certainly no training. Never taken an accounting class, anything like that. And I called my dad. I said, "Hey, an experience, opportunity I never imagined has come along." My dad helped us put together a business plan. He, we shopped around to banks. We found the money, and within, I don't know, 9 months, had bought out the owner of Mountain View Group. And now myself and my business partner Tom, uh, were the agency owners,
Wow.
which was again another absolutely terrifying moment in my career, but one I couldn't say no to.
Mhm.
Um, I I did not like working for other people. Um, it was frustrating for me, and I saw there was just a limit to what I could do as an employee, um, and so grabbing that opportunity was pretty exciting and quite a challenge. So
Yeah, I can imagine. So that's really interesting that you immediately said yes. And so my question that came to mind, when you were offered to be the director on Lynette's show,
yep,
did you also immediately say yes, or did you think about it?
absolutely. No, I said yes.
I love that. I love that. And the reason I love that is because it's been proven, like Napoleon Hill, like back in the day, commissioned by Carnegie to study hundreds of the most successful people in the world at that time. One of the characteristics that he found of highly successful people is they make decisions quickly.
Sure.
And they commit to a dream without knowing the how.
Absolutely describes some of my decisions, yes.
Yeah, and some people might even call it crazy.
Yeah, it felt crazy. It felt crazy at the time.
Good. Good.
But it was great. I remember the first thing we did when we sort of, closed the deal.
Hmm.
We called all our clients, which were some big clients. GE Energy, GE Corporate, Home Depot, I think Bell South at the time, um, and said, we wanted to let you know that Jim, the former owner, is gone, and we're now, we own the company now, and we just want to let you know how committed we are to, being a great partner for you guys still and to the success of your business. And every client we called responded so positively and so warmly and engaged us in more work than we had been doing with them. And it was incredibly rewarding. Um, so I was just fortunate. Um, and then you asked me, what's Mountain View today? When
Hmm.
we bought the company, it was doing a ton of video production work. But we were starting to do other things. We were starting to do some employee engagement consulting work. We were starting to do um, corporate value storytelling work on external marketing platforms. So there were different types of, we were being engaged by clients for expertise in areas outside of video production.
Hmm.
And that to me was the real opportunity in buying a Mountain View Group, was to accelerate the development of the creative services that we were offering our corporate clients. And so very quickly we started building a design department for graphic design, experiential design, web design. Um, we started, building on our practice of, employee engagement. Um, Building on our practice for leadership communications, investor relations communications, these specific areas of corporate need around the communication areas, which, as, you know, storytellers, which is
Hmm.
essentially what allowed us to move pretty easily into those areas, using the idea of creative strategy, story constructs to help our corporate clients with better messaging, more compelling stories for the various audiences they had to address. It's been great for us, and it's sort of fueled the transformation of our agency
Hmm.
over the last, I don't know, 16 years, 17 years I've owned it, as well as the growth of the business.
That's great. And so you got the chance to use your copywriting, the writing skills. I mean, throughout your career. I mean, from
Yeah.
working for Discovery to Mountain View Group. So that's really cool. And then
Yep.
also the evolution of video has been huge over the
Yeah.
past, what, 10 years or so?
Yes. It has in many ways. I mean, both the its prominence and dominance on social media channels, but also, the there when I was growing up in the business, there was a cost barrier to entry. The equipment was very, very expensive. Cameras were expensive. Editing machines cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Uh, and now, you can do almost anything on a cell phone that's fantastic quality.
Hmm.
So um, for us, it's been an interesting journey to keep up with the demand for video, but also to keep ourselves positioned in a way that we could keep it as a profit center for our agency, continue to make money by producing high end um, videos that are essentially, um, assets, marketing and communications assets for our clients. So that has been very interesting. Yes.
So you mentioned that you felt frustrated working for other people. And in what ways was it frustrating? And in what ways do you feel like you're really able to spread your wings more now that you own Mountain View Group?
It's a great question. Well, you could say I just have an attitude problem, or an authority problem. That all my years going to rock and roll and punk shows gave me a little bit of a rebellious streak. But um, what I believe I'm a fairly independent thinker,
Hmm.
and I like to, when I was an employee, I think I felt constrained in the thinking I could do to sort of swing big with big ideas, And my desire to sort of be my own boss was to give myself some sort of intellectual creative freedom to design my own career path because I'd had some help, but I, I wanted to see what I could do. Um, and I also, I've always wanted to have, to be an amazing team, have an amazing team around me. I think
Hmm.
I'm a decent creative. I think I'm fairly good at what I do, but I don't think I'm the best in a lot of these wonderful disciplines that we use at our business. Um, we talked about I played soccer all through school, and I was never the best player on the team, but I was always allowed as cheerleader. And that has also very much been a consistent role that for me throughout my career.
Hmm.
And so not wanting to work for someone else, wanting to work for myself to lead my own business was so I could build my own team and compete on my terms, I guess, for lack of a better way to describe it.
Hmm. Great. So, what advice would you give a listener who is also feeling frustrated, who doesn't want to work for other people, but maybe
Hmm.
isn't quite ready to make the leap, or maybe maybe they're not feeling ready, or maybe it's just not the right time yet?
Well, you have to believe in yourself first of all. That can sound cliche, but it's it's true. You have to have the confidence that you have not just the skill set, but all the other things that go into making a person successful. You have to have a network that will support you, both in terms of people you partner with, people that help you. You have to have some, ability to understand and navigate the way the business world works. Whether you're an independent creative freelancer or, you're running your own creative shop, there is administrative administrative understanding and duties that have to be taken out. There has to be a strategic vision towards the future. Has to be a plan you work at to sort of structure your decision making.
Hmm.
Um, so those are the types of things I would probably talk about.
Anything about mindset? You mentioned belief. Is there anything else that's important that's been helpful for you?
Well, what's been helpful to me is a pursuit of being the absolute best that I could be and that my team can be. We're a boutique agency.
Hmm.
We work for big companies. We work for the Coca-Cola company. We work for GE Healthcare. Um, we work for RTX and the aerospace and defense industry. They work with the biggest agencies in the world, and so for a company like mine to have long-term, many year partnerships with these big organizations means we have to be the best. We have to be smarter. We have to have a really incredible creative offering, um, and we have to be super responsive
Mhm.
um, in the way we approach every conversation and every project we have. So, I think understanding that it is a highly competitive world out there, and knowing that you have to perform at the highest level possible is very important to be successful as a creative, I believe.
What's next for Mountain View Group?
We just bought another agency, which is very exciting. Another boutique company that has a specialty in video storytelling, very similar and complementary to what we do. They're based in the New York City, New Jersey metro area. So we have new team members that we're bringing into our culture and our process, and new client partners as well. So doing our own culture work right now is important, and then just continuing to build on sort of the work that we're doing right now, that the expertise. We in the corporate world that we work in the communications space, um, are there's a lot of areas of opportunity for us to partner with people to help them achieve sort of really big business challenges. Um, internal culture in sort of big multinational corporations is a place where we focus a lot
Mhm.
in terms of a practice area. Um, Culture has been acknowledged as an important business driver for a long time now, but the whole experience we all went through during COVID and sort of the disruption of COVID on corporate culture, how people work together, how they connect together, what they want out of their career, they want out of their relationship with an employer. That all um, sort of got shook up a little bit, and so that's an area where helping people identify and strengthen that strongest aspects of their culture is a really interesting and important driver for our work right now,
Mhm.
and a place where we see ourselves being super impactful. And then, just the way people consume media these days, the types of messages that resonate, in corporate marketing, it's always evolving. And so for us, just keeping on top of what is the mood, what is the atmosphere of the business world, what are the needs, what's the tone of
Mhm.
the different industries we're working in, that always you know gives us room to grow and improve and get better at what we're doing, so we serve our clients better. So I think just actively participating in the business world is important. Keeping up with trends and conversations.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
I appreciate you asking me about my career. I do believe it is incredibly possible to have a successful career working in a creative field. I believe it's incredibly rewarding when you can do it successfully and well. I would say I have been given a gift, and that gift is the incredible talent that I have around me, being able to work with people that think differently, that teach me things every day. That is, for me, the best part about living a creative life.
Mhm.
Building a career based on sort of various creative disciplines. And so, anyone that does listen to this, and has that hope for themselves, I'd say go for it.
To hear more inspiring stories about successful creatives going for their dreams, be sure to check out this video. You can do it. I believe in you.